me, keep my commandments. John 14:15. And that is exactly what most people don't want to do. If love makes no demands beyond a smile or wave, then it is welcome. But if the lifestyle must be disturbed, the majority will reject it. Unfortunately, most people today are not looking for truth. They are looking for a smooth, easy, comfortable religion that will allow them to live the way they please and still give assurance of salvation. There is indeed no true religion that can do that for them. One of the strongest texts in the Bible on this subject is found in 1 John 2:4. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him. John could write that which with such assurance, because it is one of the most deeply established truths in the Bible. Jesus spoke of those who said, Lord, Lord, but did not do the will of the Father. Then he described many who would seek entrance to the kingdom, claiming to be workers of miracles in the name of Christ. But he would sorrowfully have to say, I never knew you. Depart from me. Matthew 7:21-23. You see, to know Christ is to love him, and to love him is to obey him. The valid assumption of the Bible writers is very clear and simple. If one is not obeying Christ, he does not love Christ. If he doesn't love the Master, then he doesn't know him. John assured us, and this is life eternal, that they might know thee, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom thou hast sent. John 17:3. Thus we can see how knowing and loving and obeying are tied closely together and are absolutely inseparable in the life of God's faithful people. The beloved John summed it up in these words. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. 1 John 5:3. You get that? And his commandments are not grievous. Chapter 8. Is it possible to obey the law? Countless Christians have been taught that since the law is spiritual and we are carnal, no human being will ever be able in this life to meet the requirements of the perfect law. Is this true? Has it been given by God as a great, idealistic, impossible goal toward which converted souls should struggle but never expect to attain? Is there some hidden reservation or secret meaning in the many commands to obey the 10 great rules God wrote on stone? Did God mean what he said and say what he meant? Many believe that only Christ could have obeyed the law, and only because he had special powers that have not been made available to us. Certainly it is true that Jesus is the only one who lived without committing a single act of disobedience. His reason for living that perfect, victorious life is laid out in Romans 8:3-4. For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, God sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, condemned sin in the flesh, that the righteous requirements of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. Awesome, awesome, awesome words of God. Don't miss the point that Jesus came to condemn sin by his perfect life in the flesh, in order that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us. What is that righteousness? The Greek word dikema is used here, which means literally the just requirements of the law. This can only mean that Christ won his perfect victory in order to make the same victory available to us. Having conquered the devil, showing that in the flesh the law can be obeyed, Christ now offers to come into our hearts and share the victory with us. Only by his strength and indwelling power can the requirements of the law be fulfilled by anyone. Paul said, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. He's not denying the fact that we can live a perfect and holy law and obey the laws. He's just making a statement that it can only be done with Christ. And he says he can do it. And so can you, and so can I. Not one soul can ever keep one of those 10 commandments in human power alone, but all of them may be kept through the enabling strength of Jesus. He imputes his righteousness for cleansing and imparts his righteousness for victorious living. Christ came in the body of the flesh like our own and depended wholly upon his Father in living his life to demonstrate the kind of victory which is possible for every soul who will likewise draw upon the Father's grace. Chapter 9, Judged by the Law. Now, a final question about the subject of the law. How many of the 10 commandments does one have to break in order to be guilty of sin? James says, for whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all. For he that said, do not commit adultery, and said also, do not kill. Now, if thou commit no adultery, yet if thou kill, thou art become a transgressor of the law. So speak ye, and so do, as they that shall be judged by the law of liberty. James 2:10 through 12. Every individual will be judged at last by the mighty moral code of God's law. To break one is to be guilty of sin. The Bible indicates that the 10 commandments are like a chain with 10 links. When one link is broken, the chain is broken. So it is with the law. Those who stand in the judgment will have to meet the acid test of the 10 commandments. If a practicing thief should seek entrance into the kingdom, he would be rejected. This is why Paul says thieves will not inherit the heavenly city. Furthermore, the Bible specifically declares that liars, adulterers, idolaters, and covetous men will not be in the kingdom. Why? Because the 10 commandments forbid those things, and men will be judged finally by that law. Not one person will be admitted into heaven that is willfully violating any one of the 10 commandments, because breaking one is breaking all. Someone might object that this is making works the basis of entering the kingdom. No, it is really love the qualifying. No, it is really making love the qualifying factor. Jesus said that the greatest commandment of all is to love God supremely. He also said, if you love me, keep my commandments. John 14:15. Those who practice any known sin are really confessing that they do not love God with all their heart, soul, and mind. So it is the lack of love that shuts them out, not the act of disobedience that exposes that lack. Only when love is motivating the obedience does it become acceptable to God. Any other work is man's vain attempt to earn salvation and to deny the efficacy of Christ's atoning sacrifice. Chapter 10, ransom for what? A dramatic illustration of the law